Hello and welcome to Helicopter Training Videos. In this video we're looking at dangerous student errors during hovering. This is a clip from the Helicopter Training Podcast Dangerous Student Errors series. You can find those full episodes linked in the description or in our YouTube podcast tab.
One's favorite maneuver when they first learn to fly, and that's hovering.
Yeah, so as a student, you've gone through this, you know this is frustrating. It can be frustrating, especially as you already knew how to fly. You were obviously quite accomplished. It was probably quite humbling to be put into a helicopter and now hover this thing. It's not easy, right? So there's a few things to be watching out for, but one of the first things I would say is just watching out for the student getting frustrated. If they get frustrated and they start gripping on that cyclic, or they start tensing up, or sometimes they throw the controls away. Your controls, they're done with it, either because they think they're about to crash the helicopter or they're just frustrated. So you got to be real close on the cyclic there. There's no, you shouldn't have any hand anywhere else but close to the cyclic as they learn. But go back to some of the things we've already talked about. Make sure it's over a smooth surface. Be very careful of letting them go backwards when they're learning. It doesn't take much for the aircraft to pick up speed going backwards, and your perspective of height is quite different from where the tail is currently sitting, especially in an R44 longer tail. So give yourself at least 5 foot off the ground to try and learn hovering. Stay close on the pedals. Don't let the student go full left or full right. That can lead to an overspeed, because what will happen is they go full left, and the tail rotor of the 22 and 44 is pretty effective. That's going to spin the aircraft pretty fast. So the nose starts going right. They stomp full left if you let them. And the extra drag in the system brings down the RPM momentarily. So the governor says, I got you, and cranks the throttle open to bring the RPMs up. About that time, the RPMs start coming back up, so the tail rotor thrust increases as well, not just because of the change in pitch on the blade, but you've also added the RPMs back in. It's going to come around hard left. So the next thing they do is full right. And when they do that, they unload the tail rotor and they take out that drag, but the engine's not going to be quick enough to back off. The governor's not going to be quick enough. And so you can get an overspeed just from going full left to full right. They should never go full left to full right. Just stay closer on the pedals there. This goes back to kind of the instructor looking ahead as well. Are we going to a position where we are going to get interference, loss of tail rotor effectiveness kind of areas where the aircraft is likely to start coming right, and just see that this could, how the sequence can start building and being a little bit proactive in blocking, but also advising the student. I think a big part of good hover training is obviously a little bit further along when the student's got some control of the aircraft, is to show them and help them identify those LTE threat areas and hold the aircraft in a hover there and say, hey, we can do this. This tail rotor can do this. I mean, it's been demonstrated up to 17 knots in every direction, up to 9,800 DA. It can do more than that, but that's what it's been demonstrated. So your student might not be there, of course. I'm not asking you to throw them into that, but make sure they can identify what it feels like on the pedals to be holding that position and anticipate the needs of the pedal work. And then hopefully won't get into too much of the full left, full right stuff. But I'd also say I've recently put out an episode on hover training and making sure we're just building block. We work on pedals first, and then we work on collective, and then pedals and collective, and then cyclic on its own. And we just kind of keep building up whilst mixing in other flight training. You just take student out day one, throw them all 3 controls, and hope it works out. I mean, it'd be great if they did for them. And some students are just amazing. They pick it up within hours. But you're also exposing yourself to a much higher level of risk than you really need to, and a lot of frustration for the student too. So be smart about how you release your student to these different challenges within hovering, I'd say.
Yeah, and I think another thing for CFIs to be aware of is just to have a sense of how tired or fatigued someone is getting from doing a particular maneuver. It's not, you're going to get more fatigued more quickly doing hover training, I think, than doing most other things other than maybe auto rotations, I would guess. And so I think it makes sense just to kind of be looking at their face, just try and determine, have they had enough, and is it time to move on and do something different?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's a big part of it.
Well, it's interesting that you talk about people doing these hard full lefts and hard full rights. I came into helicopter training very conservative, and I think what I found was I was so gentle on the pedals that I didn't realize, yeah, when it was time for me to push them fully, there was a lot more travel to them that I could have used than I was using.
Yeah, and it's tricky because the other thing about the pedals is that they act differently in forward flight than they do in hover. It's almost like two different aircraft. In forward flight, you can be pretty sloppy and push in plenty of pedal. You could pretend you're flying an airplane if you like. It's okay. You try that in a hover, you're going to spin around 3 times before you know it. So it's like you have to really point this out to a student as, hey, you did great up at altitude, and that's maybe where we started with giving you control isolation. Those pedals, they're a different beast right now in the hover. They're back to this idea of pressure, but when things start spinning, you can keep going till it stops. That's one of the first steps of dealing with LTE is put in as much left pedal as you need to stop it. And I think they found, in a lot of accidents where they could measure amount of pedal input on these LTE accidents, certainly with other aircraft that have data recorders, is often the pilot would be spinning around and never really went all the way travel on that pedal that would have stopped it.
Yeah, and I think that's what I discovered one time with some LTE was, hey, there was still more room for me to keep pushing that pedal, but I was just
Yeah,
so worried about, oh, I don't want to over control the controls in this sensitive, delicate
yeah,
helicopter that I'm only going to just gently push a little. It's like, no, actually, that's what you do most of the time, but there is a time and a place for,
right.
giving it a lot more input.
Yeah, and it's the same for all the controls, really. I mean, the cyclic pressure, 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 but then think about a rapid decel, or think about just accelerating from a hover to forward flight. There's a lot of travel there. It's so hard to try and explain to a student small movements, except, yeah, hovering,
Well,
all of it's hard.
well, I think that's aviation in general. We have so many exceptions to the rule that it's kind of hard to generalize. Well,
Mm-hmm.
let's.
This clip was just a small taste of the 3-part Dangerous Student Errors series on the Helicopter Training podcast. In that series, we break down key instructor techniques like guarding and blocking controls, ghosting maneuvers, when to take the controls, and how to respond when a student freezes up. We then apply those concepts across real training scenarios, including slopes, hover work, running landings, quick stops, vortex ring state, auto rotations, simulated engine failures, off-airport operations, and more. We also review real maneuver-specific accidents and what we can learn from them as instructors and as students. You can find the full episodes right here on this YouTube channel under the podcast tab, or search for Helicopter Training Podcast on your favorite podcast player. And if you're interested in learning to fly helicopters, you can start learning right now on Helicopter Training Video's YouTube channel, with video playlists covering things like ground school subjects, flight maneuvers, as well as following along with a student on every training flight from day one all the way through to check ride. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to get all the latest videos and help support this channel. And finally, for more information, including articles, quizzes, and resources, and how to support this volunteer project, please check out our website, helicoptertrainingvideos.com. Thanks for watching. Fly safe.